A 29-year-old built a $20 billion empire in 3 years. Reporters called him the next Warren Buffett. Then, in 1 week, it was gone. Not because the market crashed, not because he was unlucky, because somewhere along the way, enough stopped being a number he believed in. Here's the uncomfortable truth. This isn't a story about a bad investor. It's a story about a brilliant one. And if brilliance can't protect you from ruin, what can? Today, we're breaking down the psychology of money. Not the formulas, not the spreadsheets, but the invisible wiring in your brain that decides whether you keep it or lose it. Stick around, because trap number 1 is one you're almost certainly falling for right now. Here's a strange fact. Show 2 people the exact same stock, the exact same data, the exact same headlines, and one will buy while the other sells. Neither is stupid. They're just running completely different software. Your brain isn't a calculator. It's a scrapbook of everything that's ever happened to you. Every bill you couldn't pay, every stock tip that worked out, every crash you watched your parents survive, or not survive. Someone who came of age during 2008 flinches at the market is up. Someone who got into crypto in 2017 shrugs at a 40% swing before breakfast. You've lived maybe 0.00001% of financial history, but that tiny sliver feels like the whole truth to you. That's not a flaw. That's just how humans are built. The danger isn't having a bias. It's assuming you don't have one. Let's talk about 2 teenagers in the early 1970s, both obsessed with computers. Both brilliant. One of them happened to attend a high school that owned an actual computer, one of maybe a dozen in the country at the time. That kid got years of practice before almost anyone else on Earth had touched a keyboard. His name was Bill Gates. His best friend, Kent Evans, was every bit as talented. He died in a climbing accident before graduating high school. Same intelligence, same obsession. Wildly different outcomes. One got a once-in-a-generation break. The other got a once-in-a-generation tragedy. Neither one earned what happened to them. This is why you should be careful admiring or copying anyone's success story too closely. The bigger the win, the more likely luck did some of the heavy lifting. Study patterns instead of people. Patterns repeat. Legends don't. Remember 2021? When it felt like your barista, your Uber driver, and your cousin from Thanksgiving were all suddenly crypto experts? Thousands of coins launched with no product, no roadmap, just a name and a promise. This is the next Bitcoin. People didn't buy the technology. They bought the feeling of being early to something huge. By 2022, most of it was gone. Quietly. Overnight. This is what happens when a story feels good enough that we stop checking if it's true. We don't picture the millions who lost. We picture ourselves winning. So next time something feels irresistible, ask one blunt question. Do I believe this because of evidence or because I want it to be true? Here's something counterintuitive. The perfect financial plan is often the wrong one because you're not a spreadsheet. You're a person who panics. The stock market has historically been profitable roughly 2/3 of the time over any single year, and almost always profitable over 20. But none of that matters if you can't emotionally survive the years it isn't. A plan that's slightly less optimal, but lets you sleep at night, will always beat a perfect plan you abandon in a panic. Aim to be reasonable, not robotic. Reasonable? You can actually stick to. In 2021, a 29-year-old crypto founder was worth over $20 billion, richer than almost anyone his age in history. He didn't need more. He wasn't feeding a family or paying rent, but he kept pushing anyway. Mixing funds, chasing status, chasing the next headline. Within months, it all collapsed, and he went from magazine covers to a courtroom. The lesson isn't don't take risks. It's that risking what you have and need for what you don't have and don't need is a trade almost never worth making. Comparison has no finish line. Even history's greatest conquerors envied someone bigger. Alexander envied a Greek hero who wasn't even real. The only way to win that game is to stop playing it. Decide what enough means to you and defend that number like your life depends on it, because your peace of mind does.
Here's an odd truth. When someone sees a Ferrari go by, they rarely think, that driver must be impressive. They think, I want that car. They're not admiring the driver. They're imagining themselves in his seat. Nobody's actually looking at you. They're looking at what they wish they had. So if you're spending to be respected, you're using the wrong tool. Respect comes from how you treat people, not what you drive. And the wildest part? Looking rich and being rich are often opposites. The Ferrari payment is the reason there's nothing left in savings. Real wealth is invisible. It's the money that was never spent, sitting quietly in an account nobody sees.
Tell someone the market is going to rise slowly over 20 years, and they'll yawn. Tell them it's going to crash next month, and you have their full attention. Pessimism always sounds more intelligent than optimism. It feels like a warning from a friend instead of a sales pitch. But real optimism isn't pretending nothing bad will happen. It's expecting setbacks and believing the long-term trend still bends upward. Progress is quiet and slow. Collapse is loud and fast. If you only listen to the loud stuff, you'll sell at exactly the wrong moment every time. You can't control the market. You often can't control your income. But how much you save, that's entirely yours. And here's the twist. Savings doesn't need a specific goal to be worth it. Money saved for nothing in particular buys you something priceless. Options. The ability to walk away from a bad job. The ability to wait for a better one. The ability to say no. Netflix returned over 35,000% between 2002 and 2018, an almost unbelievable number. But it spent 94% of that time trading below its previous high. Every one of those dips was the emotional price of admission for that return. Not a punishment, a fee. Most people quit right around the moment the fee is due and hand the reward to whoever stayed calm enough to pay it. After all of this, here's the real punchline. Money was never about the car or the house. It's about time. The ability to wake up and decide how your day goes. Researchers have found that a sense of control over your own life predicts happiness better than almost any other factor they've measured. Better than income, better than status. Financial freedom isn't about having more. It's about needing less. So here's what to actually take from this. You're not going to outmath the market. You're going to outlast it. Stay humble about luck. Stay skeptical of good stories. Save without needing a reason. And remember that the goal was never the stuff. It was the freedom to choose your own hours. If this reframed how you think about money, subscribe, because next week, we're breaking down the one habit separating people who stay wealthy from people who just look wealthy for a while.